service is adding people to the product. You all have a product. What is your product? Holler it out. Healthcare. I mean, do other people offer what it is you offer? Yes or no? They could go get it somewhere else. Easy to copy. Nothing terribly unique. Commodity. Now, I know we do it a little better than anybody else here in our area. But again, somebody could leapfrog us. But the issue here is they can copy our products, but they can't copy our people and the service we provide. That's the key. Because as you all well know, at the time of the care, in many cases, the patient really can't judge the quality of the care, but we can judge the quality of the service. And that caregiver can judge the quality of the service. So we've got to make certain that we're differentiating ourselves by adding people to the product. Let me give you an example of when people were added to the product, when they weren't added to the product. You see it referenced there. It says we've all experienced the dry cleaners. And oh my gosh, you're in a much more complicated business than the dry cleaning business, much more regulated, highly technical business. But there's some learning points. You see them. We'll kind of come back to them and tie them back to your teams. When I moved there in Atlanta, it was time to find a cleaners. I'm like many of you in this room, clean a lot of clothes. And a cleaner's about once a week, once every 2 weeks, go back, pick up the clothes. I finally found a cleaners giving me, let's go back to the definition, giving me product. Okay? So again, easy to find, your business, you got a product. So I found one, they were giving me product to my satisfaction. I'd been going in there for about a year, nearly weekly. One day I put my clothes up on the counter and I heard her ask me one more time, last name, Ford. I'm in there nearly weekly. Last name, Ford. First initial, L. I knew the next question, 3944860. And all of a sudden I realized these people have no idea who I am. I've been coming in here weekly. So what did I do? What's your guess? Found another one. It's called Vote With My Feet, and my money went with me. I also did something else very typical. I did not bother to tell them. Most of us don't bother to complain. We don't think it'll do any good. Interesting piece of research that tells us this. If you have 100 unhappy customers, 4 tell you, 96 don't. Scary number to be at risk for. 4 tell you, 96 don't. That's why I hope you're out there doing the first one. Beg for complaints. Now I know some of you just had this little voice go through your head that said, Lisa, we don't have to beg. Okay, it's like, just come spend half a day with us. I'll show you complaints. Well, we've got to find out, and I don't care if you may not like the word beg, ask for feedback, seek information. You know, however you want to phrase it, turn the phrase a bit. You all are certainly doing it with all your surveys, all your metrics, with your press gaining information, but we've got to find out even that one-on-one. How do I get my team engaged to do more of that one-on-one, not waiting for only the metrics on the tail end of that experience, so that we can be a little more in the moment and making those improvements. Well, back to the cleaners. I didn't bother telling them. I took my business elsewhere. Commodity product cleaners. In suburban Atlanta, there's a cleaners in just about every strip shopping center. Took my business elsewhere. My husband actually found the second cleaners. He dropped the clothes off. It was a Saturday. He asked if I'd run by and pick them up. Sure enough, I did. And then I was back home dividing the clothes in the closet. 2 pair of trousers his, 1 pair mine. As I was hanging his khaki trousers on his side, I noticed these dark, oily looking spots. I checked mine, same dark, oily spots. I put them all back in the plastic bag, got back in the car, drove back to the cleaners. This started a 12-week saga. You've all been there. It may not be with the cleaners, but you've been there with a credit card, a cell phone company, a car dealership. It's the thing that never ends. 12 weeks. There is something called the iron law of customer feedback. It goes like this. When a customer has a complaint or a problem, respond either on the spot or 24 to 48 hours. Here's what we know. When you are that responsive, you will see customer satisfaction increase anywhere between 82 and 95% because they're so impressed with how responsive you are. This cleaner's never heard this before. 12 weeks. This cleaner's never heard much of anything before. You all know this statistic. When we have a positive experience, typically we tell 4 to 5 other people. When we have a negative experience, how many do we tell? Research says usually about 9 to 12, at least twice as many. This cleaner's never heard this before. Mr. Art Bolton, the general manager of Sears Dry Cleaners on Sandy Springs Circle, North Atlanta, west of Roswell Road, outside the perimeter, had no idea what I did for a living. On a good week, I'll tell 500 people. Okay? Forget this 9 to 12 people. I mean, and I have no shame in telling this story because every phone call that had to be made, I had to make it. This man would not return our phone calls. And when we were talking, he did, I'm irate at this point. When we were talking, he did about 85% of the talking, leaving me, the irate customer, only 15% of the talk time. Y'all been around the block, you all know that needed to be reversed. And at one point in the conversation, this man had the nerve to say this to me. He said, I have been dry cleaning for 31 years. Are you trying to tell me how to run my cleaners, Missy? Exactly. We don't like being called Missy unless it's our real name. Okay? I mean, we went downhill from here. These were nearly fighting words. I really should not admit this, but this was an adventure with my husband too. Every time the phone call needed to be made, I'd look at my husband and say, honey, would you call him this time? I called him last time. And every time my husband would say, but you're so much better at it than I am. Some of you have heard this before. So notice, this cleaners, no people, no product. Third cleaners. Recommendation of a neighbor, Master Clean, Roswell Road. Took the clothes in, she got my name and phone number. And then she said, have you been in before? No. Then can we have your phone number and then and your address? We'll have it all here on record in case we need to find you. They were building a mailing list, but she asked for it so nicely. It was fine. And then she gave me the ticket and said, those will be ready after 4 o'clock and you might want to use the drive-through. Okay. Came back that afternoon, 4th car back. I'm not a patient person. I thought, it'd be faster if I just park, run in. But at that moment, literally somebody comes out, they come back to our car, 4th in line, get the ticket, run back in. By the time we're 3rd in line, they come out, tell us how much it is, get our money, go back in. 1st in line, they simply hand us our change, put the clothes in the car, backseat or trunk, ask our preference, and we're on our way. And they clean our clothes beautifully. Okay? So they add people to the product with 2 things. But they give us product. Let's go back. Gotta have the product. We know that. You see all the numbers up here that we just looked at. You gotta have the great product. But they add people to the product. Let me tell you the 2 things they did. The first one is silly, but you all can relate to it. When I'm in my cleaners, most of the time I actually park and go in based on how I travel on this very busy main street. And if I'm standing there and people in front of me, nearly every time, the person from the front counter will lean over and say, good morning, Miss Ford. Y'all know the silly part. I feel important in my cleaners. The 2 people in front of me turn to see who's there. And I'm standing there like, they know me here. It's ridiculous, but we love it when people know us, recognize us, and use our name. Pay attention to those details. I told you they did 2 things to add people to the product. The second one, they exceeded my expectations. First year, they gave me a Christmas present. I was so impressed. Went home. My husband was downstairs. Like, they gave me one of those, lint roller, like roller masking tape thing. They gave me one. My husband's downstairs. He was down doing something on the computer. He's like, honey, look what they gave me. Seriously. And the words out of his mouth, is that all it takes? Yeah, because I was thrilled over a lint roller. He'd been working for weeks. What am I going to buy her this year? But I'd never owned one. And somebody said, you're not serious. No, I really had not. I had a clothes brush. clothes brushes do not remove hairs. They just straighten them out nicely. Okay, it's a straight white dog hair. It is not a removed white dog hair. So you still end up there in the junk drawer in the kitchen with the masking tape. You know, all of us have done it. They gave me one of these things. I was thrilled. It exceeded my expectations. What are you doing to exceed expectations? Let's work back. What are you doing to add people to the product?